Hey everyone, how's it going? Just wanted to send a video to check in real quick. It's been quite the crazy couple weeks, 3 weeks, and I'm sure a lot of us just haven't really even known what to feel or think. And so I just want to reach out to you. I know we've been emailing and things, but as the semester goes on, I'm going to post some short videos to go over a lot of the concepts that we would have done in class. Thankfully, at least for writing 123, we're just arriving to that part where really you're all working on your own projects almost full-time for this class, and I'm there to support you and help you and answer questions. So going online isn't the worst thing ever. But I'd love to hear from any and all of you. Tell me how you're doing. I assume almost all of you, if not all of you, are gone off of campus now. There was only 20 or so students in the freshman dorms left at the end of last week. So tell us how you're doing. I know you're all far away in different places. For example, Alessia, you're gonna get this. Well, it's like, I guess it'd be 1:40 in the morning at this point, so you'll see this in the morning. So, buongiorno. It's close. Anyway, and the rest of you hopefully are getting some quality time with family and friends. So for our class, I know we've been communicating, but what we're doing is just streamlining everything to the bare essentials so that you don't have too much of the mental overhead of just figuring out, oh, wait, what am I supposed to do for this or that? And you can focus on the actual work of doing your research. So starting next Monday, you'll be turning in 3 pages of your research paper, and this is draft. So that's the first thing I want to say is, as we've talked about in class, your rough draft is a lot like just vomiting it out. When you feel horrible and you're like, oh, you know, sometimes you've got to it's got to get out. And so don't stress too much about how do I start? I know you will, but remember, this is a process. You've gathered all your information. Hopefully you feel good about the structure you put it in. And if not, you just kind of threw out an outline and turned it in. We'll go back to that. And this is the time to expand it, okay? And put in things that you're thinking, stare at that outline and add in, you know what, I want to put this here and start making more sections. And then if you can, go to the notes you've taken on your various sources and start inserting quotes underneath each point that you know, I think I'm gonna use this there. Just put that quote in there, and hopefully you have the page numbers already, as I've said, in your notes, so you can just quote and page number and author or whatever. There in your outline, boom. So go through, make your outline more robust if you haven't yet. And then for drafting, maybe, you know, one tip, and a lot of people have said this, but I think it works depending on who you are. Maybe you feel like there's this big cliff in front of you when you're going to write the first few sentences. So a lot of people recommend don't write your introduction, don't write the first few sentences. Instead, jump right into your first meat point, you know, your first, you know, content area. First thing I want to persuade my audience of is blah, so then you start writing. Chocolate is good for you because the flavonoids in it are antioxidants, and they reduce the free radicals in your body and help you fight off cancer, whatever. Just start saying stuff, okay? The point is, it's really hard to start sometimes. So if you need to, don't write the introduction, just get into some points. And then later you can go back and you'll know kind of, hey, this is how I want to introduce this. That's one tip. But the main thing to remember for drafting, which is the part of the writing process that we're at, the main thing to remember is it doesn't have to be good. And that doesn't say anything about your skill or talent. It doesn't say anything about how hard you've worked. And it doesn't say anything about how good the final product will be. Your rough draft doesn't have to be good. I forget who it was, some writer talking about, you know, how to write, basically lauded or praised the benefit of, quote, I don't know, this is recorded, so I won't use the word, but crappy rough drafts, okay? Or crappy first drafts, in praise of shitty rough drafts, okay? Anyway, or something like that. And you can Google it. But the point is, and this is a published writer, as I've said a million times, just start writing. for those of you who are psychology majors, maybe you've studied this, but procrastination isn't a product of laziness. I mean, for the most part, who knows, but for the most part, it's not a product of laziness or a character flaw in that sense. Psychology has shown that it's an avoidance or a fear of an avoidance of the pain that comes with facing the fear of the thing that you're procrastinating on. So for example, maybe you kind of have this like this is gonna suck, basically. Like when I write something down, it's like, it's not gonna sound good. I'm like picturing a teacher or a classmate or somebody like reading this and being like, really? That's what you're saying? And it's like this, like, and so we just avoid even thinking about it. And that's what procrastination is. Maybe, anyway, so just realize that. And, so how do you get past that? Not by guilting yourself. That's not it. Instead, realizing you've just got to vomit something out. Have some fun with it. Write a sentence. Write one sentence. Look, that's one way to break through the ice. Sit down and say, I'm going to write one sentence about this thing. My first point, not even, the introduction. I'm going to go and say, okay, read over my outline. The first thing I want to say is this. Well, how can I put that in one sentence? Chocolate is healthy because boom. And then start asking yourself questions. Well, who says that? Does somebody agree? As Smith argues, flavonoids, or, quotes, flavonoids, blah, 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 unquote. And then start asking yourself, well, who disagrees? Some people argue that, the lipids in chocolate actually lead to, ask yourself, what's the point? This is important because, you just keep, that's how you generate a paper. Each paragraph is fully fleshing out one idea. So anyway, write one sentence, see where it goes. Look, tell yourself today, what is it, Thursday? Heck, you've got, let's say, it's hard to keep track of days of the week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I have to count days of the week and calendar things on my fingers. For some reason, I'm good at math outside of that. Trust me. Anyway, so like 4 days before I've got to turn in just 3 pages. So make your goal today. I'm going to write one sentence. If you do that, hey, I started my paper. Anyway, we'll keep talking about that, but I wanted to give you at least a little bit of practical stuff as we begin here. Transitioning, it's kind of incredible that we started the semester, what feels like a million years ago, by reading C.S. Lewis's Learning in Wartime. You remember that article? It's funny, I've been teaching or using that article at the beginning of writing classes since I started teaching in 2010, 10 years ago. And I always feel like I need to say, well, okay, look, so we're not on the cusp of World War II, like the Oxford students that C.S. Lewis is talking to were. And so maybe you feel like, oh, I don't know how to relate. Like they were so stressed about the war, they couldn't focus on their studies. Well, this is the first time, and it's unfortunate, but the first time that I can say, we understand, what they were going through, in the sense that it's a huge distraction. Especially a distraction from doing things that might seem unimportant compared to, like, the world is changing. People are in danger, just like with World War II. So, for example, Lewis says, what does he say? What's the use of beginning a task which we have so little chance of finishing? And that's how we might feel. Or even if we ourselves should happen not to be interrupted by death or military service, or getting sick, or having a relative get sick, or being under severe quarantine in a place like Italy, for example. But even if we aren't, why should we, indeed, how can we continue to take an interest in these placid occupations when the lives of our friends and the liberties of Europe, the world, are in the balance? Is it not like fiddling while Rome burns? And if you remember, sorry, I'm going to navigate my various things here. There we go. If you remember, we talked about what are Lewis's answers. Well, first of all, that's always been the question. Just the fact that there happens to be COVID-19 right now doesn't mean that at other times there haven't been, or shouldn't have been, severe distractions to so-called placid concerns like knowledge seeking truth and beauty. He brings up the spiritual realities of the eternal destiny of people's souls. But beyond that, he says that, besides that fact, human beings naturally, it's in our nature to pursue truth and beauty. And so, for example, he contrasts that with ants or insects, right? But humanity long ago chose to neglect those plausible reasons for ignoring truth, beauty, knowledge. They wanted knowledge and beauty now and would not wait for the suitable moment that never came. Periclean Athens leaves us not only the Parthenon, this amazing building, but significantly the funeral oration, namely, like, people are always undergoing tragedies, okay? The insects have chosen a different line. They have sought first the material welfare and security of the hive. So he's saying, like, insects are like, well, I got to make money and I got to, yeah, and I agree. But he says they've sought first the material welfare and security of the hive, and presumably they have their reward. Men, people, are different. They propound mathematical theorems in beleaguered cities, conduct metaphysical arguments in condemned cells, make jokes on scaffolds. That's where you get hung. Discuss the last new poem while advancing on the walls of Quebec, and comb their hair at Thermopylae. This is not panache or sort of a careless disregard for the seriousness of something. This is not panache. It is our nature. And so what Lewis is saying is that, look, there's always going to be distractions, and he's sympathetic. For example, right now, I mean, heck, I feel the weight of history that's going on, and I feel the difficulty in ignoring it to focus on good work or things like that. Not just, my work with NCU/Bushnell, but the writing that I want to do, things like that. I feel the distractions. But what he says is, these things are the inherent goodness that human beings ought to seek. And so we need to somehow find a way to rise above the particular situation to continue it. Now, that being said, please know that, as I've said in the emails, I absolutely and in every way extend to all of you grace. I can't know every situation that you're all going through. I mean, one of my friends knows somebody that, their dad recently died of the coronavirus, for example. I can't know how this is affecting each of you. And like I said, even if you don't know anyone personally that's undergoing something that severe, it's just an incredible distraction. Life isn't normal right now. So grace will be given. So I'm not, not grading things down if they're turned in late or anything like that. Also, although I am going to continue to try to give you instruction in whatever way I can, let's work together. You're going to have to reach out to me and say, hey, as many of you have, and I've answered most of them. Got a couple of emails last night that I'll be answering today. But you're gonna have to reach out to me and say, hey, I just feel uncomfortable. Like, am I using enough sources in this page, or am I whatever, how does my prose sound in this paragraph? It sounds choppy to me. Copy and paste it into an email. I'll be like, whatever. Also, I'm available to do one-on-one Zoom calls or whatever, or to get groups of a few people to talk. But again, we're in different time zones, some of us, and so I'm not going to make that a requirement. But anyway, carry on, work hard. We're on the walls of a beleaguered city. We're under siege, but it's not a geographical or municipal siege at this point in history. It's a worldwide biological pandemic siege. And so do the best you can. Ask for help as you need it. Know that my prayers are with you, and I wish you all the best. And yeah, be in touch soon and often, and talk to you soon. Bye. Hang on, gotta hang up. No, you hang up.